Hello violinists, welcome to lesson 2 in the All for Strings course. My name is Henriette and in this lesson we're going to learn how to tune a violin. So you may have noticed I've taken down one of my violins from there because it is very out of tune, and I'm going to talk you through how to tune your violin. So if you've never done this before, take it slowly and see if you can join in with me. Now when we tune a violin, we start with the A string, and your A string is the second string from the right hand side. So this one here. And in order to find the tuning of the A, I'm going to use a tuning fork. And a tuning fork is a little thing like this, I hope you can see that. And you can also use a tuning app, or some pitch pipes, whatever you have, or even if you have a piano in your house, provided that is frequently tuned, you can use that as well. But today I'm going to use a tuning fork because I just love this. Look, I hit it on one of my bony parts of my hand, and now I'm placing it on the bridge near the A string, and you can hear the sound A. I'll do that again. Can you hear it? If this is not as clear to you, what you might do, put it on your jawbone here and you hear it very clearly next to your ear. Now that in itself is just a really nice exercise. So we're going to tune the A so that we make it sound exactly like this A here. I have no idea what comes out of it now. Okay, so it's not at all the same. The tuning fork is quite a bit higher, so I am going to use the pegs. We've said before, if it's only a tiny bit out, do not use the pegs. Use the fine tuners here instead. But my A is quite a lot too low, so I'm going to use the pegs. I'll have a good look at how the string is wound around the peg here inside the peg box, and then you can perhaps work out how to loosen your peg. The risk is, if you don't loosen it first, that it is a bit sticky and you tighten it and it pings up quite a lot, and that way you might break your string. So I'm very carefully going to lose my peg first. So there we are. Now I'm going to try it again and see where we are. And now it's even looser. So I'm trying to sing this A in my head, and I'm going to tighten it very gently. Can you hear it? I'll loosen it again. I think it might be there. It might. Oh, no, it's not sticking. I'm squeezing it in. These pegs have a conical shape, which means that they are narrower at this end than they are at this end. So if you push the peg into the peg box more, or I should say this way, then it gets tighter. So if it's very floppy and it moves all the time, what you need to do is squeeze it into the peg box, and that should hold it better. On the other hand, if it's very tight and you can barely move it, then just gently ease it out a little bit and it will become easier to turn. Now where are we now? I'm just trying it again with my tuning fork. And now it's more or less right. I could loosen it already a little bit here. And now I've found the right tuning for the A. Now, once I tune the other strings, it may be that this A string will move a little bit, and that's okay. That sometimes happens, so I'm not going to be too fussed. Once we've gone through all the strings, we'll double check them again. From here, I'm going to go and find the D. Now the D is 5 tones lower than the A, so you could sing da da dee da da. You see? And alternatively, if you have a tuning app, you might use that and hear the sound of the D. My D is also a little bit too flat, so I'm going to go a little bit higher. So I'm loosening it first. It's very sticky, this one. about the G string now. Oh, this one's completely loose. Can you see that? It's totally floppy. That's a good one for learning today. The G string is 5 notes lower than the D string. So if we're here, da, da, dee, 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 da, is what I'm after, and I have absolutely nothing. So I'm just going to move my G string up. That's quite a bit up. Da, dee, 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 da. And surprise, surprise, it's holding. Okay, so I've now got 3 strings that are roughly in tune. Let's have a think about the E string now, which is this one, furthest to the right. Now the E string should be 5 notes higher than the A. This is my A. Da dee 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 da. This one's actually quite close to where I need to have it. I can adjust, oh actually I can't adjust the E string. I thought I was going to adjust it with this adjuster here, but it's almost in its lowest setting, so there's nothing I can do with it. Now this works as a little lever. It pushes a little lever down which moves the string this way, so it tightens the string, but this lever is in its lowest position, so I've got to loosen it so that I've got some way of tuning again. Whoops, now it's coming almost out. Okay, so now I can move the adjuster again, so I'm going to have to use the big peg as well. Now, in my previous lesson, I've already warned you about the E string because it's so thin. It's very easy to snap it if you're not careful, so watch out for this one. Definitely loosen it first here. Oh, this one's quite sticky as well, so good job I loosened it first. So here's my A. Dee da 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 da. That's where I'm heading, so it needs to go quite a lot higher. Oh, and this one's not holding either. So I'm squeezing it in as I turn. Now I've raised it a little bit too much, so I can see if I can come down a little bit with this adjuster by turning it anti-clockwise. I think it's still a little bit too sharp. Dee da 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 da. No, it's still too sharp. So I'm going lower here because I can't lower it anymore at this end. That's better. So what I've done now is I've put all my strings roughly in tune. I'm just having a look at the bridge now because the strings have been moving up and down quite a bit now. Sometimes what you get is that the angle of the bridge is changing. And what I'm looking for now is that the back of the bridge, so this side, is at right angles to the belly of the violin. I'll show you what might happen. And you may see this on your violin. I have moved my bridge. Now, moving a bridge is a delicate thing, so please don't do this if you don't have to. What has happened now is that you see the back end of my bridge here, and it's tilted forward. So there is more than a right angle between the back of the bridge and the belly of the violin. Now I'm going to very carefully, and you want to do this super carefully because you don't want to snap the bridge, I'm going to hold it with 2 fingers either side and gently ease it back. Now if you're too scared to do this, that is okay because it is a bit of a scary job. Find your local music shop or your local luthier or violin maker and ask them to just get the bridge upright for you. But it's well worth checking because you don't want the bridge to fall over while you're playing your violin. Now what happens now is that there is the E string in particular may sometimes have a little string protector, and I'm not sure if you can see this, but it's here. It's like a little see-through little plastic sleeve. Can you see it right here? And it's put round the string to prevent the string from slicing through the bridge, almost like a cheese slicer. Because the E-string is so thin, it might just go down. So I'm going to have to put this little thingy back on top of the E-string, just where it touches the bridge. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to loosen the E-string now, so that I can fit this little thingy on there. And I'm fitting it. Your bridge should have little grooves in where you put your string in. Ooh. And I'm fixing my little plastic thingy so that it is flush with the front of the bridge. So most of that little plastic sleeve is behind the bridge. You can perhaps understand why, because I'm going to be bowing in this end here. So I don't want this plastic thingy to interfere with my bow at all. So the front end here is level with the front end of the bridge. Now, of course, when I did that, I untuned my E-string again. So I'm going to up the E-string again. Oh, it's not holding now. I've got to go a little bit higher. So I'm fine tuning it with this end now, can you see? Okay, now we've sorted out a whole lot of things now. First of all, my 4 strings are now roughly in tune. So even if you had enough of tuning at this point, you could start to play and practice your bowing exercises as we've played in lesson 1. If you want to give your violin an even better tune, and as you progress you will get better at tuning, and this will take up much less time, also because your violin will be settled more. So I've tuned this violin for the first time in maybe a year. I don't really tune those violins that are on the wall, but if I started to tune this violin more frequently, it would hold its tuning much better. So now I'm going to go back to the first stage, and I'm going to use my tuning fork again. There's my A. Oh, now I'll just up it a notch. And you can hear it when it's spot on in tune. It's still a little bit flat because it all starts to vibrate together. No, it's still gone flat. There we are. That's a little bit too. Now that will do me fine. So from here I'm going to go back and tune the D string again. Now I've got to go. This string is stretched a little bit, but now it's not as far out, so I might use the adjuster here. I'm turning it clockwise for it to go higher. Oh, that sounds nice. And now that my D is better in tune, I can think about my G string. This is D. Oh my days, this has gone way flat now. So I'm going to use the big peg again. So I'm going to loosen it again first. And miraculously this one is holding. So now my 3 strings are good. All I need to do is double check the E string. This is also stretched a little bit, and you'll find that if you have a brand new violin with new strings, they will stretch considerably. So over the next 2 weeks or so, you'll be stretching your strings and getting them until they become more stable. So please don't worry if you tune quite a lot, if you have new strings that have never been played. You've noticed that even this E string stretches a little bit because it hadn't been tightened properly. So I'm going to turn the adjuster clockwise to make it higher. And I've gone a bit too far. Come down a little. Ah, there it comes. Now if you've got a little snarky tuner or a tuning app, you will most likely have little green or red lights. Green for a perfect tuning, or red lights where your note is a little bit flat, so in which case you need to raise the note to come into green, or whether it's red because it's gone too sharp, and in which case you need to lower your string to get to the right tuning. But you can also use this video, and what I'm going to do next is grab my bow and play these strings for a while for you, so that you've got this as a gauge so that you can compare your strings to this tuning. So I'm going to play you an A string now. And you can perhaps try for yourself and work out for yourself whether your A is exactly the same or whether it is slightly higher or slightly lower than this one. Here is your D string. Here is your G string. Gone down a little bit. And here is your E string. That's awesome. So I've said this in the first lesson as well, the violin is a natural product. It does respond with atmospheric changes. So it may well be that if it starts to rain tomorrow, that my tuning goes out. So you'll have to tune your violin every day, and you may even find days where your violin is very unsettled and you'd have to tune your violin again every half hour or every 20 minutes. And that's okay. As you tune more and more frequently, your violin will settle, but please don't be surprised if there are days when you keep on tuning your violin. Makes my job quite difficult sometimes when I have different students every half hour and one after the other is going out of tune quite frequently. But you know, that's life as a violinist. Once you get the hang of tuning, it will become easier, as with everything violin playing. So while you wait for lesson 3 to appear, I suggest you tune your violin every day and watch lesson 1 so that by the time the next video comes along, you are really good at knowing the names of the strings, G, D, A and E. You're reasonably good at tuning the violin and you try to play with longer bows all the time. Thank you so much for watching and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Goodbye.